The mangled mess left behind at 35th and Wisconsin was the end to Michael Captain's story. Captain was sitting in what's left of this passenger seat, his friend at the wheel.
He always had a smile on his face. He was always laughing and he was always joking.
Police say Danny Romero was driving a stolen Hyundai when he ran 2 red lights and slammed into an MCTS bus going 80 miles per hour. He admitted he never had a license, yet got tickets for the suspended license he never had. Romero is not an anomaly. He's another example of a flaw in the law. Romero got his first operating without a license ticket in 2015. Because he didn't pay, his license became suspended. Instead of getting another no license ticket, which would have been a criminal charge, he kept getting suspension tickets simply because his driving status showed up to police as suspended. That meant the 2 additional suspension tickets were just traffic tickets. The problem happens time and time again across the state. Milwaukee Representative Lakeisha Myers took notice after 12 News exposed the problem in a story that aired last week.
You said it's a loophole in the law.
I believe it's a loophole in the law, so it can be fixed easily.
Myers wrote to Milwaukee County District Attorney John Chisholm, Chief Judge Carl Ashley, and Milwaukee Municipal Presiding Judge Phil Chavez. She wants them specifically to review the penalties for driving with no license.
What you're trying to do basically is have the county agree to something that strengthens it.
Exactly.
Myers also wants the governor to call a special session on reckless driving.
I would like to see a task force created that deals with speed and red light camera enforcement across the state for any community that wishes to have that mechanism. I would like to see us talk about penalty enhancements for driving with suspended licenses for sure, as well as driving without a license.
Her anger fueled by the deadly hit-and-run death of 4-year-old Zakani Himes Wilson. Donald Creighton is now charged with hitting the girl and her mother while they were crossing the street on Teutonia and Greentree in Milwaukee. Creighton previously killed a man in 2018 while he was behind the wheel. He, like Romero, had no license, yet also got a suspension ticket before and after that 2018 crash for the license he never had. The list of drivers who continue to get ticketed instead of charged keeps going.
Counsel, is he entering a not guilty plea at this time?
Yes.
Navaris Campbell had 27 suspended or revoked tickets and no license when prosecutors say he was speeding, crashed into and killed a man at 76th and Florist last summer. He was only recently charged. Milwaukee police say they're required to write the suspension ticket because a driver's license status shows up suspended.
So if I don't pay that first OWL fine and my status shows up as suspended, you're writing the suspension ticket.
Correct.
Is that wrong?
It's what we're required to do. It's the status of what Department of Transportation deems them to be. It's what will go to court. It's what will, the citation that we write. So if you think that it might be wrong or right is not up to me to say or the Milwaukee Police Department. That's up to the Department of Transportation along with the municipal and county courts.
It's the same for Kenosha County deputies who see the same repeat offenders with no license and continue to write them suspension tickets.
After it's been already declared that they have a new driving status, which is the suspended, that is what we have to write.
Even though you know that that driver has never had a license?
Unfortunately, yes.
That seems backwards to me as a guy outside looking in.
Correct, and it doesn't hold anybody accountable.
If the state wants to change it, then the Milwaukee Police Department will change our policy on it. But as of right now, we'll stick with what the policy is and what the status is, and that's how we'll write the ticket.
Representative Myers wants police to charge people who continue to drive with no license.
The Band-Aid fix is asking the DA to enforce.
Enforce, yes.
The overall fix is the special session and then wait till January.
Absolutely.
James, the Department of Motor Vehicles issues licenses. The DMV is part of the DOT. What is the DMV saying about this?
Patrick, most police departments say the state needs to issue some sort of guidance. DMV says it's not their role to issue legal guidance and tell police departments which ticket to write. The State Department of Justice refused to comment. Something worth noting, if you don't pay that first no license ticket, you get pulled over again. That penalty actually lower than if you did pay that first fine.
Another twist to this story. James Stratton, thank you.